All right, we are live. We are back. Episode 73, the Gretch Afternoon Drum Break. How is everybody doing? I'm so excited to be chatting with the incredible Doug Frasure today. I remember scrolling through the GretschDrums.com website and seeing Doug's name and picture and bio on there and went, man, that is like the coolest looking guy with that cool pose and and the hair and everything. So I did a little bit of research on him and read his bio, and I'm going to read it to you now. So from the GretschDrums.com site, it says, hailing from Detroit, Michigan, Doug's interest in music began at a very early age, and by the age of 5, was performing at educational seminars for the regional Anderson music chain. Considered a highly versatile player, Doug's formative years were heavily influenced by old R&B, Otis Redding, James Brown and Al Green, and funk, Earth, Wind and Fire. Moving to LA, Doug spent 4 years performing and recording with power pop band Eden's Journal, a great experience with great friends. The wonderful advice and guidance of friend Ron Ganaway, drummer for Steve Warner and Gretchen Wilson, led to Nashville, and within 2 weeks he was touring with Trisha Yearwood. The Nashville move happened. He has since toured and recorded with several pop and country artists such as Leah Turner, Andy Griggs, Jamie ONeal, Kimber Cleveland, Kelly Sweet, etc. He is now musical director and drummer for Sony/Columbia artist Leah Turner. Also catch Doug as the host and co-creator of Gigging and Grubbing. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited to bring Mr. Doug Frasure onto the show. Thanks, sir. Nice to see you. All right.
Hey, who are you just talking about? Because I have no memory of that guy.
Ash Stone.
No. You'd still be talking if you were talking about Ash Sloan.
Oh, I know, right?
You put my whole life in there.
Yes, that's incredible. So that bio you said is, well, it says national TV debut of September 2015. You've been a Gretsch artist for a little while, so the bio is a few years old. Wow, holy smokes, so long time.
Yeah. Kim Graham was kind enough to allow me into the fold, and now Andrew Shreve's doing the deal, and he's doing an amazing job. He's a great fella, a great lad.
Yes, he is. I can't wait to meet him in person. I've had him on the show, and he was terrific. And he was like, "Why do you want me on the show? Like,
why do you want me on the show, man? Everything's cool, dude."
What a great guy! And I saw you had a great Gretsch Gretsch DW hang in Nashville. What was that like?
It was great. It's always great. They actually did 2. I was gone last Monday for the first one. I really wanted to do that. It was at our famous drum store, Forks. It was just a casual Forks drum closet, to be precise. It was a casual hang, and when I saw the pictures of my dear friends and some that are just acquaintances, I really wished I could have been there. But Wednesday night they had kind of a beer and food thing, and Fred was there with Dinah, and had a really nice turnout. Beautiful night. We just stood outside and caught up, and I got a good hour into that hang and hugged everybody and left. So
that's amazing, man.
I'm not in the picture. I'm really mad.
I did notice that. I didn't see you in any of the pictures, so I'm not sure if it really happened then, Doug.
I think they went, he's out of here, man. Let's do the photo before he comes back. He might sense it.
Okay, it's good now, everybody.
Yeah, hurry up.
Man, thank you so much for making time for this. This has been quite the ride over the last couple of years with the whole pandemic thing. As you might have heard, that this began as a project that was going to be maybe a few weeks long, because we're only going to be shut down for a couple of weeks. I was going to chat with the Canadian Gretsch artists, and then it turned into something much larger at the urging of several other Gretsch drummers, as well as Lucas von Gretsch and several other people. And Fred and Dinah have been very instrumental. My friend Noel Webb, another great Gretsch Canadian artist, said, this is something bigger, man. Think globally. So it's been really fun. So I remember seeing you on the site at the very beginning of my little intro. I remember scrolling through the Gretsch website going, those are some cool pictures. This guy looks pretty cool. And what a name, man. He must be a heavy player. And so people are commenting and they're like, oh, yeah, he's a bad dude, man. So
that's how I fooled you, man. That's why I haven't changed those pictures and everything. I thought, that's how I'll get you.
No, I'm super grateful. So we've already got some people saying hello to you. Wow. Dave Cleveland, I love that Doug Frasure dude.
Oh
and
my gosh, David. Hi, man. How you doing? That's
Lori,
my brother-in-law.
All right. And Lori, oh, so Kimber is your wife.
Yes.
The most beautiful woman in the world.
I feel like I've heard that before about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, yes, that's what I said. We declared a tie, right?
A tie. It's a tie.
That's
yeah,
terrible. Man. Wow. So let's go back to that. Let's maybe go back to kind of what happened at the beginning of the pandemic. What was the situation like for you? And are you fully back to work now? What's happening?
The beginning of the pandemic, I was much like you. I think much like everybody. I thought, honey, it's a 2-week vacation here. March 13th is when it happened to us. And where do you want to go? I didn't realize that we really couldn't go anywhere for a while. Life was great. Busy, a lot of live sessions, having a blast. Blessed every time I get one. And then, of course, that shut down. But I will tell you, Neil, that so that was March 13th, May 31st, I remember, we went back to work with my crew that I work with all the time for a corporation that has several venues. And we went back to work and have not stopped. So I don't have a horror story about work. It was constant. The owners were incredible to me. They allowed me to keep the same guys, and we had to go through the rigmarole of making sure we were healthy. Yeah. I caught COVID about 2 weeks after we started work, so June of 2020, or 20, and it was pretty painless for me. So my heart goes out to the ones that it wasn't. And I, ever since then, just been going along, quite steadily, I will say.
That's good to hear. I have lots of American friends, especially lots of friends in Florida, musicians, and they're like, we were shut down for a couple of weeks, but our governor is, he made sure that everybody was working. And right. Hey, that's awesome. And I do a fair bit of work in the winter down in Florida. And it's good to know that is there. And
it
man,
is.
oh man. Well, that's great. I'm happy.
I'll be in Florida Monday.
Are you? Whereabouts are you?
It's a resort called the Holiday Inn Resort in Panama City. It's an annual gig with a couple artists that we work with, and it's right on the water's right behind us. They have a nice big stage, and we get to let loose, and then maybe hang the next day with nothing much to do but grab some sun. So
that's wonderful.
Great. A lot of Florida stuff.
Yeah.
It's so wide open, Just had to decide, am I going to go in and live my life and do this? And I had to speak with my wife a lot about that. And she was like, yep, that's what we do. We move forward. I'm not going to watch the world go by, so.
That's great. Definitely a different situation and mindset here. In fact, this house here this week, everyone, including the grandbaby, caught COVID. Everybody but me. Lucky enough that I have a separate.
How is that possible?
They have their own living quarters. We have one of the sons is upstairs, and the grandbaby and the parents are downstairs. Self-contained apartment. I stayed here until the adults tested positive, and then see ya. I'm over at my father-in-law's condo, and he's elsewhere. So, and thank goodness, I'm great because I start a tour in 2 weeks and gone for 5 weeks. So need to stay healthy. But anyway, this is about you. So let's go back.
Enough of the COVID.
Right. Let's go back to the beginning for you. How did this drumming thing, music thing begin for you?
I love that question. And it's always weird to talk about yourself, I think. I don't remember because my brothers I have two brothers. They're older. My brother Jimmy, he's about 18 years older than me. And then my brother Roger, who is 10 years older than me. And then I came along and it was like, what? You know, I'm sure my parents were like, come on, you got to be kidding. And they were involved in music as far as playing clubs and just kind of living that life. But my dad had this just really great basement, you know, that he was really good at everything, is really good at everything, still living and doing great. But he had a nice built out basement in Michigan, and we had PA set up, and their bands had drums set up and guitars and amps. Everything was there. There was always music. So there's video that I was 2 and, you know, couldn't really reach the, you know, sitting there, but playing. And it was Johnny Cash. My dad is a Kentucky guy, right? They migrated to Michigan. So flooded with old country, Johnny Cash and Merle Haggard. It was Folsom Prison. And it's so odd to see, you know, little bald me doing it. But I don't really remember that. But whenever we watch, every time I go home, you know, they put on home movies, and yeah. So my brother bought me a kit right when I was around 4. And you mentioned Anderson Music, and it all just came really natural. And then my memories start with, you know, what I thought my brother and my family thought it was an honor to have me at these their little seminars and conventions as a little guy playing drums to you know, recorded music and doing this. And later on I realized they were probably trying to get parents to go, see, nobody's too young, come on into the store and buy a bunch of things, you know.
Sure.
But I did that, and I have really vivid memories of doing it and really feeling empowered, you know, as a kindergartner. And then I kept playing. I got very involved in lessons right around then, and then I stopped completely. I did it only for the girls, and I'm in school, and you know, we'd have little groups or little bands or talent shows, that kind of thing. And that, you know, I didn't work as hard as I should. I was good at it for that age, and I started playing ball, and you know, it just became something, you know, that I would do at home because it was fun, and then maybe go play with a couple buddies. And then when I was about, well, I know I was 16, there was a club, and my brother knew this, at the time, old, he was probably 50, keyboard player that played left-hand bass, and his name was Andy Martin. I don't know if Andy is still with us, but I sure hope so. And my brother said, hey, my little brother plays drums, and you use a drummer, would you use him? And he said, yeah, I'll give him a try. And whatever his motivations were, I'm thankful for it, you know. So he was an old Motown guy, so he knew all the guys. He worked with Uriel Jones and Benny Benjamin, you know, and I was really big fan of especially those two. I mean, there's Pistol Allen that played on a lot of that stuff, great, and more guys than that. And he was kind enough that as we were doing gigs, to just kind of go, slow down, buddy, you know. And he played this burning left-hand bass. I thought every keyboard player could do that, because I didn't, you know, I'm 16, and Monday and Tuesday nights I have a gig. I got money, you know, spending money. I probably made, I don't remember, $40 or something, you know. And he taught me so much throughout until I graduated, about repertoire, and he just said, know everything, from standards to Motown, obviously, which I rebelled against after that because I was just so inundated with Motown. And he taught me about repertoire, which carried on, still carries on. I think it's, I don't want to say it's forgotten, but I think the generations since didn't have a choice because we had such a plethora of work in Detroit. And that's why it took me so long to move to Nashville. I got fat and lazy and comfortable because we were well known, the group that I had. And I just kind of stayed in it because it was so much work. You know, if you didn't want to work, you would take a night off. But it was every night, all the time. The group would take vacations, not together, but at the same time. We didn't sub in. We didn't do anything. You know, we're playing Earth, Wind and Fire and Tower of Power and R&B and old R&B. And so the band would go, okay, let's not work in August or whatever. So, and it was my band. So I probably stayed in that just a little too long. And I definitely had the mullet way too long and finally moved. But I digress from learning so much at a young age about repertoire. If, you know, to put it, if you get called and it's a corporate, you're expected to know the tunes. Even if you've just heard them in passing, you know, but you have to have a repertoire. I think proprietary learning kind of came into the fold maybe 15 or 20 years ago, where I would see, if I'm boring you, let me know, because I thought this was a cooking show. I was ready to make pasta, and now you're asking me about drums. People, I would see, I have one instance, and I won't say who it is, but I was watching a group, okay, and I thought this guy, bass player, he was burning, and he was. He had every facility that he was ever going to need right here, and he was burning this show. And I went, wow. So I met him, and wasn't long after that, you know, it's kind of like the last person you meet. I'm like, oh, I got a corporate. I get to put the guys together. I called him. Well, God bless him. He knew that stuff that he was playing, but he didn't know a standard or a Mustang Sally, that's being very literal. I remember going, you know, and he said, I'm sorry, I don't know these. And I remember, I think about this because I think I felt like I was being cold. But after the gig, I said, hey, bud, thanks a lot for doing this, but you're kind of no use to me, you know? And I remember saying that, going, oh my God, I just said this to him. Like you can't just learn what you're playing, you know? I mean, that's my opinion. I think repertoire is king, you know? I take pride in that. And the musicians that I grew up with and hang around and hang around still, take pride in whatever it is. And if you don't know it, it's music. You kind of know where it's going because you have a repertoire. I know where the song's going, and I know what's going to happen in the bridge. And sure, you screw up, but who cares? I just think that's so important. And I'm going to get off that. I'm going to get off.
How long did he have to learn that other gig that he wasn't very?
You know, I didn't ask him that. It really never came up. He's doing quite well right now. So I don't know. I really don't. It stunned me. I remember I was taken aback, and I think that's why it came out of my mouth like that. And I thought, Doug, you don't say that to people, you know?
Well, it was good to say it, to be honest, but still you tempered it a little bit, you know. You weren't brutal, like, dude, what was that? Like, don't, you know, like, yeah. I agree with you. Number one, I do a fair bit of teaching here, and I do teach students songs. I know some drum teachers who refuse to teach songs. And I'm like, why do you refuse to teach songs? What do we do? As drummers, do we sit there and do the Terry Bozzio? No, we don't. We're supporting people, right?
Right.
It's beyond me, but repertoire 100% is so key. And also being prepared and learning the stuff you're supposed to play. Like, hello.
You know, I missed that. I missed that part, dang it. I have a great repertoire. I just don't know how to prepare or learn songs. So it's over for me. I should have spent less time tuning drums and more time practicing.
Or videoing myself and putting them on YouTube. That's not
That reminds me. I used to do, this is so funny. I haven't thought about this. And to this day, I still don't know how I did it. But since we had that stuff in my basement, my dad had the 8-tracks and the record players, but he had the 8-track where you could play, but you could also record blank ones and record. And I would take this pin mic and duct tape it really close to me, and I would put in 8 tracks. I remember for sure one was Foreigner, and then Journey, and I would play and play the tunes, record it with me playing them, and then try to convince my buddies I was in those bands. Dude, you're 12. Okay, you're 12 years old, and I was with you yesterday. So yeah.
That is
I know.
So great.
I used to play him in the car and go, I am so good. I am so strong. Yeah.
Sometimes there's no better way to learn to play, to play repertoire, to learn songs. Like Simon Phillips said that he only took a handful of lessons to learn how to read, and then that was playing music.
It was what?
It was, sorry, I'm doing my Simon Phillips. It was learning to play songs and to learn to play the role that the drums. Or as my Ash Zone.
That's the second time you brought that name up. We're going to talk about that.
On Thursday, I'll FaceTime you.
You better, man.
Doug.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
hi, Doug. How are you?
I mean,
Neil a snare.
It's he's my new crush, man.
Oh, me and you both.
For a couple of years now. He's so gracious. And can I talk about him a sec?
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Because he's a later influence. He is, when I watch him play, he's not thinking, but he's thoughtful. He is so poignant in what he does. And I listen to it. It's a modern Steve Gadd, just an innate groove, an innate touch. I'd love to figure out if that was a natural thing, or does he actually work on that? I believe a lot of that is natural. I'd love to know what's going on in his brain, but when I listen to him, it's symphonic. It's really incredibly musical, sonically as interesting as you can be. I can't say enough about that guy, and he seems like a wonderful lad. I've never met him. I will, and I look forward to it. I'd love to have an hour with us three. Want to do it?
That would be.
Coffee's on me.
I'd be like shutting up for a change. I'd be like,
Ash Sloan, you are man.
Yeah, it's he's, you know what, he seems to satisfy the drummers as well as the songwriters and the artists, which is a fine line, but he doesn't try to do it. He just does it, I think.
It seems like that. Again, I'd love to have the chat, because I failed at each one of those things at different times. But that's being truthful. And then I've succeeded, at one or two of those things at any given time. And then it works out, and you build these wonderful relationships, and you stay working. And but yeah, I've had moments where I'm like, this feels like I should be great, and why is this just not working? And I know that they're thinking the same thing, and I'm like, well, what is it? You just got to be you. Nobody plays like Neil. Nobody plays like Doug. It's just, you like it or you don't, but we have to be chameleons. I understand that, but yeah, I've had some monumental failures and some successes that seem to outweigh it and keep me in the game.
For sure. Oh, for sure. There's several. I think it was maybe Matthew Krause commented, and love Matt. What a sweetheart of a guy. Got a chance to hang out with him. He was up in Canada doing a show with Michelle Wright.
I worked with Michelle.
More than that. Did you? Oh,
yeah.
She's an absolute sweetheart. Oh,
she is incredible.
Yeah.
Great, sexy singer. Like I love the sultry of her voice. Yeah, I did a stint with her. I think it was an entire summer up your way, ish. I don't think we did Montreal though. That's where you're at, right?
No, I'm outside of Toronto, 90 minutes north
Oh yeah,
of
we
Toronto.
did. Yeah, Toronto many times. Thunder or something. Thunder Bay.
Thunder Bay.
Yeah.
Yes, that's far. I have some
Oh, I
friends
know.
actually tuning in
It was
from
kind
you.
of like all
yes.
over the place to do.
Oh, it's beautiful. Thunder Bays. We were just up there like a month ago, something like that. But it was still snowing when we were there. Yeah, it was wonderful. It was great. In fact, they closed the roads from Winnipeg to Thunder Bay that week, so we didn't have to deal with that. But yes, anyway, getting back to Michelle, what a sweetheart. I never knew her. I met Matt. I was playing with Megan Patrick at that point, and Michelle just comes over and gives me a hug, like, hi.
Hi.
You know, what a beautiful. But Matt Krause had some great things to say about you, and
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt.
Yes, I'm surprised I'm not wearing his shirt today. I usually wear the working drummer. I'm wearing it out. I'm going to have to get a new one of those. I love that show.
I'm surprised I'm wearing any shirt at all. So
with that body,
lucky for both of us.
I'm a snowsuit model. You see, the more clothes, the better.
I'm a hand model, and that's the only thing I'm proud of. My wife said that's what attracted her to me when she first met me. Was she looked at my hands and went, "Yeah, I think I like him." I'm like, wow. So
interesting.
Okay, yeah.
I will leave that alone. That is.
That's not what I meant, but yeah.
That is great. Let's talk a little bit more about kind of what the musical journey held for you after playing in that band that was your band, and you could take time off, but you worked a lot. What was the next kind of step for you, Doug?
Okay. Shout out to the band was called MVP, and I'm still amazing friends with it, and get to work with him often. I get to use him on some of the travel stuff that we do. His name is Patrick Brennan. He is an amazing singer, amazing vocalist. Brian Gayton. They were my guys. And it's funny how the past can repeat itself. I did that. I met Ron Ganaway because we were doing a lot of, they would come up and do festival stuff with Steve Warner. And I didn't move. I thought about moving to Nashville or back out west because that's where I did my schooling. And I just kept thinking, I don't know if that's me, you know. And then I heard Restless Heart. If you remember them.
Sure do.
And I think before they were ahead of their time because Diamond Rio kind of took that mantle years later. And then I heard Steve Warner and went, wow, this is hooky. It's verse chorus. It's just notes. It's not rebelling against my mom and dad's old country, you know, or Motown.
Yep.
But I kind of like this. So I met Ron Ganaway, who I don't see near enough, and I miss him. He was my angel, and we love movies. And he loved the snare drum that I was using. Couldn't get enough of it, I remember. And that's how we started talking back after I played before they went out. And we became buds. And then he called me, and he said, hey, man, I know we've talked about you moving to Nashville, and you don't have to move. But Johnny Garcia, Trisha Yearwood's band leader, they're looking for, they've had really bad luck. Her longtime drummer left, who was great singer too. Rick was his name. Rick, help me, Rick McClure. And they had gone through about 4 drummers in as many weeks.
Wow.
And she was really, really out there doing it. It was a really great time for Miss Yearwood. And Eddie Bayer was doing the live dates to help out, but he was like, man, I can't. He was so busy.
Oh, I bet.
At the time. And Ron said, I put your name in. I just think you would be a great fit. It's really a musical experience, and you might be getting a call. And I did. And Johnny called and said, look, we're going to have to find a drummer, but I'm going to take Ron's word for it that you could finish out the season. I think it was somewhere around June And he goes, and we have a long trip starting in Nova Scotia all the way through Canada. And it's going to be about 45 days. And can you do it? And I'm like, I got a little nervous. And I'm thinking, man, okay. You know, and he said, you don't have to move to Nashville because you're going to be gone the whole time. But you can get down here and let's run through the stuff it was basically sitting around in a living room, just kind of talking through the set. And then we went out and did it. And then we were about, I don't know how many, I remember where it was. We were doing, remember when the Ellen show, and she we were doing something and I saw her talking to Johnny, and he was band leader. So the conversations went through him. She was awesome. Yeah. The best singers I've ever worked with. Her pitch and her time was incredible. But I was kind of nervous on the gig. I was sitting in a seat where a couple of the drummers that it didn't work out, like we mentioned earlier, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, were really great players. And so I kind of felt like I was sitting in the ghost of Rick McClure. I was sitting in that seat, and I'm thinking, man, I sure hope this works out. At least throughout this time. And he said, yeah, we'll find a drummer next year, and if it goes well, you can audition. I remember them saying that.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, okay. And so how do I not ramble on? I saw them talking. We were doing the pantomiming the Ellen show, and he took me in the back and he said, hey, we decided Miss Yearwood would like to have you on board permanent if you're willing and available. And I thought, yeah, are you kidding? And that was my first experience, period, outside of feeling like a hot shot in Detroit. And I was humbled, excited. I was really like a kid, you know. And I actually met a gal that day that was one of the dancers for the Ellen show. And you want to hear like the coolest line ever? And my wife knows this story, and it was well before I knew Kimber. I walked up to her and I said, I just had the greatest day, the greatest moment of my life. Would you help me make it the best night? And she said, I'd love to. And I went, that worked. Unbelievable that worked. And we dated for about 3 years.
What?
And it was awesome. Awesome. Just an amazing girl. Denise was her name. Argentinian. And so she was incredible. The gig was incredible. It was kind of spoiling because I thought every gig was like that. You know, you never shared a room. It was first class everywhere. Catering was insane. I got to where I felt pretty comfortable on the gig, and I think it was very musical. And then I did it for a while, and they made a change, and that was really hurtful. Like I felt like I was a failure because I'd never experienced that. And I called home, and I was like, I was renting a room at a guy's house at that point. It was quite a bit later, and I thought, oh my God, I failed. I mean, it's over. So what do I do? I obviously can't play drums. You know, I'm never going to work again. And I didn't. You know, it was really like, oh wow. And I want to give you the reason, but I don't. It supposedly was not a playing thing. It was a little bit too much energy. And I remember I didn't understand that at all.
Wow.
But I was in Nashville, had that. That was an important pivot for me to getting down here. Thank you, Ron Ganaway and Johnny Garcia and Miss Yearwood. And then there were calls because who's he? And you get a lot of calls when you're working. And you don't know, thank you, but I'm quite happy. Yeah. And at that time, it really wasn't gig, different people. You kind of signed on, and you were out, you were on that. So I was very blessed after that to continue working, and it was mostly females, and I really wanted to work with males. you know. And I remember it's immature of me now thinking that. I was like, man, it's just so rigid, you know. I want to let's let loose and have some fun, you know. I came off of the mid '80s becoming a Dave Waffle clone in every way except for the skill. I mean, I bought the same color drums. I rode an 8-inch tom for years, bro.
So did I.
I had mullet, you know, I had put my floor tom over there, Yamaha, right? And I became so involved in that. And then all of a sudden I'm in Nashville, you know, thinking, what is this? But I think it served me, back to our earlier point. Sometimes it hasn't. And I thought, man, you know, change is good, you know, change is good. And then as I get older, I realize it's just a flavor, you know. You're going to like Neil or Doug or Dave Cleveland, who we need to talk about, because he's my favorite. He's my favorite player to record with, period. The joy he brings, I've learned so much from him. The joy and peace that he brings to a session, and that's why he's so dang popular. And
okay, who is Dave Cleveland?
Dave Cleveland is a guitar player that lived in Nashville till about a year ago, moved back to Virginia to be closer to family and to have a change. And he's still here. I don't even know all the time that he's here, but it's weeks a month. And I think they guide sessions around him. And I can't say enough about, I've worked with many, many, many wonderful players, and it's not just that. It's everything that he brings. He's amazing, and he's my brother. So that sounds funny, but I met my wife first. I promise you.
That's wild.
Yeah, and so he's amazing, and I'm super lucky to know him, and the other players that I work with. I have my favorites, and I get to work. I don't work with Dave very much, but the other guys, Les Richardson, they're just some of the finest, most again poignant, humble, awesome players. And you do this, right? You work with somebody. It's right hand, left hand, right? I have my bass players that I almost don't want to work without. You know, it's like, I feel like you just cut off a limb, or half my brain has to start thinking now, which is worst enemy ever of creating good, solid foundation. You know, can I mention his name? My bass player is the drummer that I would hire to sub. Also, he's that good. And his first instrument is guitar. So he's kind of like your son that you were talking about. His name is Ben Jordan. And he is my yang. And I use him whenever I have the capability of forming, being the leader of a session or any live situation. I don't want to go anywhere without either Ben or Les. You know, that's just habits. You know. It's freeing. I play without thinking, which again, Ash Sloan. And it's just amazing what you can accomplish with just the minds, you know, thinking alike and understanding what it really takes. The difference between live and studio. And there's two Dougs, you know. The energy live is based on what we're hired to do. That's promote energy and fun, and you know, and that Doug is very different than the Doug that just got home. It's just a different approach to the instrument. It's a different attack. It's obviously a different mentality, and not quite so frilly and, you know, happy, jump up and down. I shouldn't say happy because I love it, but I don't know how to get off on that, man. You got to shut me up, bro.
How old are you when you first started playing with Trisha? When did all of that happen?
Late 90s. I want to say I was young. 33. I think I was 33 or 34.
What a great time, though. I mean, you would have been old enough to have gone through that kind of feeling of rejection and pain and all of that, but old enough to have, it's not like if you were 21, 22 going through that. That could be really devastating for a number of years unless you're mature beyond your age.
Right.
But that age, it's just be, it's tough no matter what. You think that it's your fault, and you constantly, and humans, we're terrible. We process it, and why obsess over it?
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, it's true for me. I other people, whatever. Confidence comes with, it comes with age, or it doesn't. I feel quite differently over the years than I did then. I probably wish that wasn't my first induction, and I wish I had been here before that and had a better feel for how things worked. But hey, that's what happens, I was very happy doing what I was doing, and I would have probably moved here. In fact, I know I would have. I just wouldn't have moved if I hadn't met Ron that quickly, and I'm glad that I did, because I did wait a good long time, too long. So
it seems like the place to be. Scott Williamson.
Oh my God,
hello.
Scott!
A fabulous
that guy can play, bro.
Oh man, just crazy great. We're Facebook friends, never met. I'm a huge fan of his playing, and thanks for tuning in.
He works with David quite a lot. He knows David very well. Very well. Steve Brewster is another that they work with.
I know
John
that.
Hammond.
I know that name.
All those guys are. What are you going to do?
Who is JH?
That's just. I said his name and it shows up on the screen. Oh, it was great seeing you too, John. I'm sorry I had to bolt. I didn't get a chance to talk much.
So he was there, right, John?
Yeah, I was there for a minute. I think John's the one that organized the picture, but he waited until after I left. I think that's the deal. Yeah.
And Lori Adams, known Doug since the mullet days.
God. Oh, that's
hi, Lori.
That's like my bestest. She's my bestest. I met her when we were about 16, and I had my first pop band, and we were playing a teenage club outside of Detroit, and she was a friend of one of my dearest friends, amazing guitar player, still is. His name is Bruce Hammond, and she was so beautiful, but she sang better than anybody. And I'm dying to get singers because I didn't want to do it. And I used to fancy myself as quite the singer. And she kept saying no. She couldn't, and she was in this wedding band, and we were just kids, And then when I went to college, she went to the same college, and we became like Mutt and Jeff, just like the best of friends. She's still an amazing friend of both Kimber and mine, and she's doing great. She's in Florida, and she can sing, and you feel it, man. She just has that thing, and it's not just that. It's everything about her. She's an amazing woman. She is. So, hi, Lori, if you're there. Give me some money for saying that stuff.
Where did you go to college, Doug? I didn't see that on the bio and should have thought of that before.
Yeah. Well, I immediately after graduation, I left the group and I went out to it's called the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in Pasadena, and I did their program. And you do a year, and if they invite you back, you can do another year. And I did that, and I was playing, trying to make money, and that wasn't working out as far as the making money part that well then. And I met literally more like a brother than a friend. His name is Kenny Rudolph. We became roommates, going to the same school. That's who I started gigging and grubbing with. Kenny's the smartest guy I know, and I literally I have three brothers, and he's one of them. And we did that, and then I got a call to be in this miraculous pop sensation guy who was really a sweet guy. He was the Ilitch family. They own the Red Wings and the Tigers and a lot of stuff, and they're just a wonderful family. Their son had a record, and I got a call from a musician. Said, "Hey man, I know you're in LA, but would you consider coming back and doing this for a while?" And I did. And I was 21, and we did some shows. It didn't pan out for him, and I thought, man, with all that money, how did this not work out? But that didn't pan out. So then I went to Wayne State University, is a university right in Detroit, and they're great, really wonderful music program. And I really, really wanted to learn to read better, so I was in their jazz band. And I fancied myself as quite the jazzer, especially since, after that with the Waffle thing. I found out that I wasn't, and I found out, man, I really should have learned how to do this earlier on too. I remember the leader, they put me in B band, and I thought, well, that's cool. It's not C band, and it's not A band where I'm going to, get my butt handed to me. Can you say ass on this show?
Just
butt?
Did.
Okay. And I remember I would be playing, and he goes, "Hey man, I want to put you in A band." And I thought, wow, I must be pretty good. And he's like, "No, brother, I just don't have a guy in A band, so you got to go to A band." And I was there to really structurally learn. I remember with playing Milestones, Tempo to Terror, just so fast. And I'm trying to read it. He kept going, "Get your head out of the chart, brother. Get your head out of the chart." And I'm thinking, yeah, but that's what I want. I want to learn it, And I did that for a while, and thank God that worked out. So that's where I went to university.
That's wild. Now, you feel that all those experiences contribute directly to what you do today? Do you find that you use, maybe not necessarily some jazz tunes, but does it help you develop a sensitivity to different kinds of music and to be able to swing, whether it's jazz or not?
Wow, Neil, that's a great question. Can you repeat that? No. Yeah.
Go back to the mullet.
Yes. The short answer is yes. Of course it all helps. And I'll tell you, theater, being a singer, helps too. I love to swing, and to your point, a great point, not just in swing music, but pop music, country music. Popping that in there. There's some great artists right now that are cutting these things, and people would say, "Doug, man, I never thought of you as a country guy." And I'm thinking, it's not like that. It's just notes, it's music. And I'm not the first one to say this, but country music today is definitely pop and rock music of my era growing up, Jones on Journey and Steve Smith, and wondering how he can play so well. And it's all, I think it's awesome. I mean, it's just incredible. It gets to your head, back to this thinking thing. I think maybe not the worst mistake for everybody, but I want to say that, is that when you're playing, the last person that I'm listening to is me.
Right.
Completely. It's this communication, this banter, this love. Communications can start really aggressively, or they can be, "Hey man, how's it going?" Like when you and I clicked on today. But I don't have to talk over you all the time, or shouldn't. And I don't speak at the same level all the time. My favorite word is dynamics. If somebody says I'm dynamic, my chest swells up, and I'm the happiest guy ever. And and I'll open my wallet. Thank you very much. Dynamics. Now, I realize cutting is sometimes can be different. But if people are listening and not to themselves, that's why I think it helps being a vocalist, whether good or bad, is because I'm hearing melody, I'm hearing the communication, and I'm hearing what he does not want to happen while he's telling his story. And in between his story, I can interject mine. And the guitar player, Dave's wonderful at it. Les is wonderful at it. We get in the same conversation. And if we're not, it doesn't matter that everybody's playing the right thing or everybody's very skilled at their instrument. That's not a conversation. That's not a family dinner that I really want to be a part of. And the time that I start listening to myself, used to do it a lot at auditions, because you can't get comfortable in the seat, or I can't get comfortable in the seat. You're never yourself, you know, and you're constantly listening to yourself, making sure you're doing what you think they want you to do.
Oh.
And I got called because they wanted me to do me. And that's when I say I've failed and I've succeeded, where I go, wait a minute, Doug, you're not a kid. Even then, go in, do your thing, be nice. I like being nice. I like making people feel comfortable. I like it when they do it to me. Just be yourself, man. Just play like you. You got the call to be there. If they like somebody else, okay, that's awesome. I like him too. He's great. He did a great job. So,
yeah, this is wonderful, wonderful insights and thoughts. I completely relate to everything that you're saying. I remember my mom saying to me, she drove me to an audition. I was playing drums for 5 minutes at that point.
okay.
I was 19. I started playing late. I was 19, and my mom goes, just be you. And at that point, I'm like, I don't have a me yet. I literally started playing. And
That's very true, though.
It resonated with me recently as well. It's just be you. I sub in on a few shows here and there and whatnot. It's like, you know, play the parts, but be you. And I'm like,
right.
You know, really terrific advice. And all that not thinking.
And it's your mom, man.
Yeah.
Your mom.
Oh, yeah. She knows, man. She knew. She definitely, knew me very, very well. We had some replies already. So apparently Lori said that she will pay you later. You both went to Central Michigan University?
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. That was the first college that I went to before I moved.
Fantastic. And to segue nicely over to this, when did you start playing Gretsch drums? Let's chat about playing Gretsch, and why do you play Gretsch drums?
Oh, okay. All those are easy. I played a lot of Yamaha because, you know, Mullet, Recording Custom, right? Dave Weckl, Steve Gadd. I bought my first. I used to go through a lot of drum sets. We were working all the time, and I'd play them for 6-8 months, and go get something else at My Forks. That was in Bill Carroll's drum house, you know, in Detroit. And he'd always know I'd be coming in, and he, you know, and I said, man, I really want to try Gretsch. I've never played him. It was November of 1988. I still have the kit. It was a black ebony, not satin, but shiny ebony. If you remember that, you can see the wood grain.
Oh, I love it.
The kit took my breath away, and I got immensely. I thought I just got lucky that I got the best sounding one ever, and then I realized there were other ones. I don't know if you can see that stuff that's popping up, but so in 1988 I started playing Gretsch. I played Gretsch pretty exclusively since. I still had some of my Yamaha kits that I loved, my original Recording Custom, and I still have one of those, white one.
Wow.
And that was my hair. And I played that all the way through, came to town. I have my white ones here behind me. The black ones I use a lot. They're stored. And I got with Gretsch when I was with a really wonderful artist that I look back at as like it was another pivotal time for me. His name was Leah Turner, and he was poised to be like the George Strait. He was poised to be the George, like the new George Strait modern, you know, like probably back in it was 2003, something like that, or I don't remember. And I got called, if you want to hear the story quickly, I got called by his manager, who was Bob Doyle, who I've come to know and for many years, a wonderful guy. He said, "Hey, I have this artist, Doug," and by then I was kind of band leading stuff, and I kind of fell into that. Sometimes I wish that I was just the drummer. And he says, "I got this guy, but his band's very sleepy, and I want you to go in and let's just kind of like, let's just give it a punch, and because we're going to put out his record, and he's with Warner Brothers." And I said, "Okay," but I didn't know. These are how things happen. This is how things happen. I went to the rehearsal at Soundstage, I think it was, and everything's set up, and the band's there, and I walk in, but they don't know I'm coming. They're not told. They just know that their friend, whoever their drummer, was not there, and it was me. And I had talked to Lane prior, and he's like, "I want you to bring all this energy. I need more vocals. I want to loosen up there. I want to really get it ready." So it was a nightmare, 3 hours. They were looking at me like I just opened their Christmas gift and peed on it or something. And we got done, and I went home. And what was pivotal was because I'd be like, "It's not for me," And I did think that, but I knew Lane was going to call me, and he had been telling me all these things, and he called me, and I love this man, and I still do, and he's amazing talent. He said, "Hey man, I know all the things we talked about. Can we pull it back a little to kind of like what it was?" And I just went, "Absolutely not, man. I think you should call the drummer, and I think you should move on the way you're comfortable." And he said, no, I can't. And we went in. Jimmy Nouse was his guitar player. He's amazing. And he stayed. We made some changes, and it became the most paid. Like we had this little thing downtown Broadway where we could just play an hour and just run the set every Monday. And I started meeting friends that are Trey Cordell, another Gretsch artist that you should talk to. He's a sweetheart. Michael Grando, Grando's great, and he's hilarious.
Yes, he is funny.
And started meeting all these people on these Mondays, and this group really got tighter than a popcorn fart, man. It was really tight, but yet improv and explosive and really great. And they put us out with everywhere. Finally got to do some Restless Heart stuff, and I was thinking, "Oh, this is so fun." And they released a single, and 2 weeks later dropped them after 3 years of, just plowing it. And I thought, wow, that's the biz right there. Changing of the heads of the label, kind of making sure they had a hand in dropping the people that they didn't. And I felt awful for him. But that was another very big learning experience. But during that time, Kim Graham was with Gretch, and we spoke, and the rest is history. She was great, and she's gone now. And Andrew Shreve is amazing, dude. And Garrison's the DW. Do you know Garrison on the DW?
I don't know. No, he was a tech
Wonderful.
before. Was he? Was he a drum tech before?
That I don't know.
Okay, it might have been a different person because I remember a Tony Williams drum tech with named Garrison. It could obviously a common name.
No, I think he would be too young.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he would be too young, unless we're talking way late.
Like late, like the 90s, I think, when Tony switched for 5 minutes to DW drums. Probably not.
Say no, but hey, what do I know? I know he's a great dude, sweetheart and funny, and he's in Michigan. He lives in Michigan now. So we threaten to have coffee when I go up and meet like halfway. And he's a great dude. But Andrew's awesome, and he's been so helpful.
He's amazing. He's even though I'm not a name player, he knows how much I love Gretsch drums. He gives me you know, ample time. I never feel like I'm not important or anything like that. And he was on the
Right.
show, and it was such a trip having him on here. And he's like, "What am I going to talk about?" I'm like, you know, lots of things, and it was very interesting learning about his history of being in the Navy.
Yeah.
And things like, you know, like it's really fascinating. I love every one of the guests because you all have such great stories, and it's all similar, but they're all so unique. And I learned so much, man.
No, I'm learning a lot from you too, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, this is fun. So what do you have now for Gretsch kits? What drums are you playing?
Oh, well, both. I just have two. Both of them are the same. They're USA customs. Again, one is an 88 and one, I think I don't know, 2008, 2010. It's the white one that you can see a little bit of one back behind me. And I use those a lot. A lot. They're looking their age now. And this doesn't bother me, you know. But I was mentioning to you earlier that I'm going to get I'm just talked to Andrew. I want to get something different. So it's Broadcaster or Brooklyn. And I told you my sonic thing leans towards Brooklyn because I think it's a little different sound and a little snappy. But the Broadcaster, I feel like the roundness and the snappy, I always go for snappy, but I already have that.
Right.
You know, and I don't have, the only Broadcaster I have is this beast right here.
That's beautiful.
Oh, it is. This thing, it's the biggest drum I've ever, 8 is pretty deep, but it's sensitive enough for me, and it's pretty amazing. It's a pretty amazing drum. And I got to play a lot of Broadcasters and a lot of Brooklyns, and they're all so good. But I'm going to get one. You know, it's time for the kid to try something new. You know, try it out.
What sizes do you typically use, Doug?
I'm still a small drum guy. I'm a small cymbal guy too. Like I said, I rode that 8. That's kind of a thing of the past. But I still ride a 10 a lot. I don't think that's uncommon. 10, 12, even sizes, 10, 12, 14, 16. I've never really gone bigger. That's kind of if I'm going 2 up, it's 10 and a 12. Cymbals, the biggest that I ever used besides a ride is 18, 19, almost on any occasion. But that's just preference. I don't want any battle. You know, Glassy Sabian is the company I'm with, and I love them. I love them. So yeah. What about you? What sizes do you use?
It depends generally, but this guy there is the 10, 12, 16. That's the 57 kit.
That's the like Motor City thing or something.
That's that. Yeah, that's that kit, and it sounds absolutely wonderful. I've recorded it a bunch in here, and play it live with the ABBA show, and man, they sounded great. My good friend I've known for 40 years he came out, and he's a drummer, great drummer, bought a USA custom kit from me 30 years ago almost.
For you or from you?
From me. His parents.
I was thinking that's a good buddy. I'd like to have his phone number.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. He's a very generous guy. He gave me this little Peisty crash here, so but he came out to the show the other night and said, he goes, the tom sounded beautiful and fat with some nice attack. He said, and the kick drum was just to die for. So, you know,
that kit right there,
yeah.
That one you're using,
yeah,
the Renowns are. I just think they're amazing, man.
They're terrific. Yep.
They are amazing. And that price point. Thank you, Gretch.
Right.
Because, they did something right with that kit. And then even the what is it, the RN2 or something? They did that a few years ago. I like the improvements. I don't have one, but I use those a lot. We talked about, especially when I'm traveling, and which is less. It's a lot of Renowns, and rightly so. I mean, great stuff, man. No time at all.
They're
But
very good.
by Gretsch.
Mm-hmm.
I love the sound of Gretsch. I will say this. I call him, and another friend of mine, Trey Cordell again, we call him the hot rods of drums. Gretsch took me a little time to figure out what I liked and where I liked it. Once I got those things in tune, they almost never go out of tune, at least for me. They're the hot rod. They can be finicky is not the word. There's something so special about this throaty, hearty sound that you get from up, down, and I tend to be more of a down, a medium to down. I like a lot of difference, especially when you get to what I would say a big drum is 16. I like my 14 to sound like 16s, and that's what I'm very comfortable on smaller drums. There's such a throatiness to Gretsch that I love a lot of drum manufacturers are doing a wonderful job making drums. Let's be honest, but you're not getting me off. You're not getting me off the Gretsch. That's it. I think once you find where your kit wants to be, not that you can't, be a little versatile, there's nothing like it. And it'll be right there for you the next time you go sit behind it. So,
I find that they're great in pretty well every room without doing very much tuning in it and adjusting.
Right.
I find that there's like, and when you do, there's some like Yamaha. I played Yamaha drums, a lot of those over the years, and had the Waffle drum set and the mullet. We should trade mullet pictures.
Oh, I should have held up the picture.
Oh man, I have one with Waffle, me and Waffle, and he had the Supreme mullet there. But
yeah, it was. Mine was. Gotta be honest. Wish I had the picture. I'll send it to you.
It's pretty good, that's for sure. And Yamaha makes wonderful drums. You're right. Everybody makes great drums. There's something just different about Gretsch drums, all the way up from the Catalina maple kit, all the way to the different lines. And I'll tell you, I don't own anything, but I do have one snare drum, actually, and another 100-year-old drum that's not Gretsch. But other than that, everything here is because we have everything, right? Like,
awesome.
We do. What's your go-to snare drum, Doug?
That's super interesting. I have a maple that I like a lot. The aluminum is definitely my go-to, especially out. I use it a lot. I just recorded, or not just, it was a while ago now, better part of a year, and the studio had the bell brass.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that.
And I took, I had like 5-6 snare drums with me, and it was one of those moments. And I believe Andrew had a thing there. The studio was Zach Brown's studio. It was called Southern Ground, and the artist was Luke Combs.
Come on.
And I'm playing mine, and we're sound checking, and then I look up and I see that, and he goes, "Yeah, man, you want to give it a whirl?" And I put it on, and it's on every single track. On
a Luke Combs record.
Yeah. It actually was a couple of records, but all done at the same, recorded at the same time. They just put a couple on different records. Because he's amazing. Anyway, he's so good. But that drum, bro. Now you got to have help to move it. I make my wife haul that when I have to take it. Yeah. So that's the drum that you kind of want to get, bud.
So you played on the Luke Combs record?
Yeah, I did. Jerry Rowe is the other drummer, and do you know Jerry?
I don't. I've heard this name for several years. I know who he is, but don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm he's not the other drummer. He's the drummer. Right. I had the luxury of recording probably 7 or 8 tracks, and then they were split up. And it was a great experience, but Jerry's on all the rest. As far as I know, he's on all the rest of the stuff that they do, and deservedly so. He does just a bang up job, man. He's such a good thinker. So yeah.
I've had to figure out some of those tunes and tried to cop some of those drum fills over the last few years, subbing in with different country artists. And I'm like, always look forward to playing it because there's lots of really good rockin' stuff and some really interesting things.
Yeah.
So which track are you on? Do you know?
No, I'm not going to be able to name them all, but it's easy to look up. I'll tell you my favorite if you want to listen to a really great track that was created. It starts with a loop, but it's all live loop. So I remember turning the snare over and playing the wires, and the producer was so fun, Scott Moffat. He would, okay, try this, and I'd mallets on the toms, and then we kind of put this loop together. But called Houston, We've Got a Problem. It didn't do as well as I was hoping, as well as some of the other ones, because I really like that track. Cool. And that bell brass, you'll go, yeah, I got to get one. I got to get one. And I remember the engineer going, yeah, I didn't really do anything to it. It was kind of worn by then. A lot of playing on the head. It was very loose. And it was so loose that I had to do the wallet bit. And it's rocking, dude.
That's awesome.
Rocking. It just makes you want to groove. Like, I don't want to play anything else but this. Groove. Let's go. And so, check that out. The drum.
Yes. Oh, I want to check out the track. I want to check out your playing. Let's chat about some of the artists. There's a little bit of a list from your site. If there's any particular order that you would like to go in with some of the artists I've got. So we chatted a little bit about Trisha, and then there's several others. We've got Leah Turner, Andy Griggs, Kelly Sweet, your lovely wife. Let's just chat about some of the other folks. Who do you currently work with, actually? Let's start there.
The only live artist that I work with, a lot of times it's multiple artists, but it's Andy Griggs. And I love that man. We have become, it's been a dozen years. I always have time for Andy, but as an artist, but as a friend, he's become a dear friend. And the group that we use is the group I was telling you about that we work for the corporation. So I get to work with my guys, and we really just kind of, we just have a blast. He does not want to click. I'm glad. I don't dislike clicks at all. I love them, but it's very improv. It's however you're going to start it. Let loose. Everybody take too many solos, and we just laugh and giggle and have a great time. He's one of the best dudes I know. He really is. He's got a great spirit. His faith is incredible. And I've learned a lot from him. So he's the one. And a lot of times he'll bring out the wonderful Jamie O'Neill or Billy Dean, and we'll do these shows together, and it'll be, our band behind them. But he's my guy. So I'll continue to do that as long as he'll have me, And it doesn't kill. He's very busy, but he's full band is maybe 40 dates. And so it's not crushing. And that's a really good amount.
Yeah, that's a perfect amount. Keep you home enough and
I'm here.
Some income.
I get to make coffee. Hey, what do you think? Look at that. Look what that says.
Oh, that is classic.
Tears of the People I've Offended. I hope to add you to the list here before long.
That sounds like a 70s band.
Not Tears for Fears, but Tears of the People I've Offended.
That's funny. Oh man. Kelly Sweet. I'm not sure.
Kelly Sweet. It's. I have not thought about her in a while. She was such a great singer. She was very. Who is it, like a Norah Jones kind of a vibe. She did this record. She had a nice hit. I remember the song was called Raincoat, and got called to put a group together for her. And I believe that was around 2010. And that whole tour was all the Blue Notes. So
very cool.
the Blue Notes in the States, the Blue Notes Japan, and just kind of a long little outing of flying and getting to you see different parts of the world. She was really good, and it was a good little band. It was very, you know, kind of like this kind of playing. I did a lot with my hand, had my djembe over here, a lot of brushes, and then, you know, definitely hit them at times, but most of it was real. It felt very like orchestral, you know. It had this kind of, you just kind of wanted to do this, you know, the whole time. So I had a really good time with her. And then she moved back somewhere. I think she went into a real pop direction and did some time in LA, and I've kind of lost track of her. And that happens all the time.
Yeah.
But she was a real sweet girl.
That's amazing. Let's talk about your lovely wife, Kimber Cleveland. How did you, it's amazing that you played music and you're together, then you could actually blend that, because my wife and I don't think we could do that. She could sing, only she says if she's drinking. But how did that begin, and how does that actually work with you guys being married?
Okay, yeah. A buddy of mine was doing a songwriter night. It was in 2001, and he said, "I want you to come, man. You're going to." There's a girl that's doing it with me, and she's really got a great pop feel. You know, I think you'd really like her. And he goes, "And she's really pretty." I said, "Sure, man. I'll come." And I went with my nephew, who I want to mention. He moved down to Nashville with me. And
wow.
I went to the songwriter thing. I saw her. I remember she, you know, she's doing all her own tunes. I remember falling in love with a couple of the tunes and looking at her going, "What do I do here? I got to talk to this girl. That's all there is to it." And so I saw that she had a table, and it was like 5 or 6 of her good buddies. So I thought, well, while she's up there, I'm going to go ingratiate myself with her friends and try to be funny and witty and charming. And I was 1 out of 3, maybe. Nope, not. And sat down and talked to them a lot. Then she came over, and they said, "Oh, this is Doug, and we had a great time." And I thought, I'm in. So we talked a little bit. I remember the first thing that she remembers what I was wearing, which is a good sign. The first thing I said to her was, "Hey, you know what? You're pretty good. You ever think about doing this for a living?" And she just kind of looked at me like I farted or something. You know, it was like, oh, geez. And then as we left, and I remember going to the car with my nephew, and I get in, and I know she was leaving, and I said, if she makes any sort of eye at all, you know, I'm in. And she did. And we talked. And then the next night I was playing, hosting a jam, I remember. And that's no longer happening, you know, the place either. And she came out, and then I knew, like, okay, I'm in here. So I asked her to dinner. I said, "How about the best spaghetti ever and some wine?" And she said, "Well, I'm a vegetarian and I don't drink." And that's a true story. She said that. And I was like, wow, I am bombing here hard. And we went out and never stopped. Never stopped. That was in 2001. We've been married 19 years.
Wow.
In a row. And it's been great, man. She made me a better man, I'll tell you that. More patient, more understanding, and she's a great girl. But her talent is what'd you say? She's saying, I think she's listening. You want to come say hi?
Say hi.
Come on, say hi. This is my wife, Bill.
Wow. Yeah, you're right.
This is Kimber.
Hi, Kimber.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Now, I was going to see if you were telling the story right.
Was I?
Kind of, yeah.
Will I forget something?
No, well, I won't
Okay,
take up time with that. But the reason we connected was Rush.
Oh, that's right. All right, can I tell you this really fast?
Yes, you may.
So we were in the car. Thanks, baby. We were in the car, and she started singing something. And of course, I got into Rush really heavy in Detroit in the early 80s. Just, psychotic. We saw them every year. Saw every band every year. That's one of the best things about Detroit, that and the food. And she started singing this Rush tune. And I'm thinking, Rush does not have girl fans. There's only one girl at every concert I've been to, and now I realize it was her. So we get back home, she picks up her guitar and starts playing a song called The Trees. I don't know if you remember that.
I'm a huge Rush fan. Yes.
There's trouble with the tree.
Oh, yes.
And I thought, ring on the finger. The girl singing Rush to me on like I think it was our first date. So not many guys going to tell that story, brother. So
every Rush fan guy definitely would tell that
that's
story.
Right. That's what you wish for, But we did her record, which was one of the most pleasant and amazing experiences. David was on it, a bass player named Matt Pearson, myself, Michael Crittenden, who he owns a studio in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So we thought we'd do it differently than the hustle and bustle here. Here, you go in, listen down, put the chart in front of you, you play. And if you're the guy that has to play it twice, they're like, I don't know, we're going to use this guy again. Everybody gets into this Rush mode, Rush. And we decided we were going to book out this time at this really wonderful studio that, fireplace and the control room. I know that sounds odd, and bedrooms in the back and a kitchen. And David and Matt Pearson were kind enough to fly up and spend an elongated amount of time to do Kimber's entire record. And I was producing it with Michael Crittenden. And so we would literally play and then take. And I remember Matt was like, wait a minute, we don't have to like nail this right now. I said, no, we're going to explore it. I'm really, really proud of that record. It's called Coming On Strong. It's a fun record. And David and Matt were absolutely outstanding. And my wife's ability to sing and play and create these harmonies that are so popular now. We did the record maybe 10 years ago. And I'm really proud of that record. There's no frills. If there was a loop, it was created, but it was just 3-4 guys in the room going, let's go. And I had a great time with that record.
Yeah.
And then we brought it back here and mixed it, and she put it out. So it was great. It was kind of a family thing. And it worked out really well.
Does she still play out or?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. She mostly by herself. She doesn't. You mentioned about working together. We really don't. No, I've done maybe 5 jobs with her in 19 years. Just me and a djembe and some percussion. Yep. She does acoustic very well, and that's what she does. Or she had a duo partner. They were called As Girls Go, and they were really strong together. So they did that for a while. And she's just great. She sits, writes, plays when she wants to, doesn't do it when she doesn't want to. And she's actually going to be gone this weekend, so I'll be home alone with my dog. So.
Uh-oh.
But she's really great, man.
That's incredible. Wow. Are there any other artists, anybody else you'd like to chat about in your vast experience of playing music?
No. There's so many people that over the years, and yourself, you play, and they're great experiences, or sometimes you're like, wow, I'm kind of glad that's over. Had a blast being the MD for Leah Turner. That was a really hard hitting, full on tour. And she became a wonderful friend, and still is. I think we're good on that. I think it's more fun to go in and cut and not digest all the stuff. You learn it, you play it, and you go home, and sometimes you never even get a chance to hear it, because I don't really do that many masters. I'm thankful for everyone, but a lot of stuff that we go and cut, like, yeah, I'll never hear it again. Or somebody will put it out for a limited or something, or I might get one. Or so you just, but that's actually more fun to me than going out doing that band leading thing that just, you know, it seemed like I was better at it, you know, 15 years ago. Now I just want to do my thing, you know.
Do you feel any different pressure when you're recording a master than you would something that's not a master?
I have. A lot of times, new guys, like, I think we've all had experiences where you're kind of the elephant in the room. Like I would have get a call, say even a demo session is something that used to be very dominant, where different writers, you'd go in and you'd cut like 5 songs in 3 hours or sometimes 6. But the idea is to get these songs done because they're paying to get these demos so they can pitch. And I remember an instance of being called to do it. And then I got there and, you know, studio musicians record and they're like bands, they're like crews, right? A lot of times it's very much the same guys, the majority of the time. It might be one extraneous thing, but they know each other. So when you come and sit in their buddy's chair, even though you didn't, your buddy's not out of work, he's just not doing this one. And at the time, I remember being codependent, like, wow, guys, nobody's saying anything like, hey, nice track, and maybe it's because they didn't think it was. But I'm trying to make, you know, get codependent and go, how's everybody doing? You know, let's have a great time. And wow, you played so beautifully on that. And then you kind of leave going, wow, that just wasn't very fun at all. And then other times you walk in like Luke's thing and everybody's just high-fiving and handshaking and like, let's listen. What's going on? Let's do it. Let's play it. Masters can be easier because we only really did one a session. And if you're doing two a day and you're there all week, it didn't feel like very much pressure. You know, and if you're in the seat, you got called to be there. So don't think otherwise. And they shouldn't think otherwise either. And just do your best and have a great time with it. I do enjoy that. But I will tell you, and I think David, we talked about this years ago. He probably doesn't remember. I didn't think I was going to get so tired. And I don't mean tired. I mean, like, after a full day, I remember being like, wow, I cannot wait to get home.
Yeah.
Have the coffee and just kind of have everything be quiet for a while, you know?
Oh, man.
But I tell you, it's still the biggest kick, the biggest rush to create. And like I said, then leave it. It doesn't all go in. You don't remember every song and you don't know the titles and you can't sing along. But that sense of creation is really special to me, especially at this time in my life. So I relish every one that I get. You know, I'm thankful for that. Yeah. And I want more. And we all do, right?
Man, I'm grateful for the little bit of recording that I do here for some of my friends. And it's been a trip, of course, since the pandemic began. That's when I had time to delve into learning how to record drums. I used to have a 4-tracker, and I would record myself on my recording custom kit to the Dave Weckl Contemporary Drummer +1, realizing that Sheryl Crow was the singer on that Rainy Day song.
You know I had that. And I wore that out.
I think we're like
yeah, we are sympathetic on that, my friend. He changed my entire sphere, man. I had never heard anything sound like that.
No, he was mind-blowing. And
he's a mind-blowing drummer, period. You want to hear a quick Dave Weckl story?
Yeah, please.
I don't know him. I've met him on several occasions. And I was at the NAMM show in LA. This was a good bit ago. I don't remember the year. And there's Dave, and I go, and I didn't drum tech for him at a show in Michigan back in the 80s, but the guy that I told you I bought all my drums was. And so I just kind of stood there as they were doing everything, and Dave was quite nice and talking about it was right when the Yamaha Maple Customs first came out. And I hope he doesn't get mad at me saying this, but they weren't great when they first came out. They were real muted. So he was creating the Yes Man to get that post out of the drum. But I bought that Maple Custom because he was playing them now. And every time I put the drums in, you'd have to find that perfect spot on that post to get it to resonate. And this isn't near as good as my recording custom. And but he concurred, and they fixed that, and the Yes Mount's pretty neat. But then when I saw him at NAMM, he remembered. We were just talking, and he's never going to remember this, but we were standing there talking. And have you been to a NAMM show or any?
Not yet.
It's loud in there, right? And it's different places, and there's always these booths, and people will go in and start jamming. Sometimes those jam start playing right on the floor. But this was a closed glass booth with a drum set. But we didn't know that yet. And we were just talking, and then we hear this playing. And I'm talking to Dave Weckel, so I hear the playing, but I'm not thinking about it. And he was literally looking at me, and he's like, hey. And then he just goes. And I'm just kind of looking at him, and he goes, hey, man, when Vinny's playing, I can't even think. That was a quote. And we just walked over to the booth, and sure enough, Vinny was in there just kind of shredding all over the drums, which was amazing. So Dave himself went, wow. And, the whole Vinny Dave thing, right? My first experience was Dave, and then obviously Vinny was well established at that time, and then Vinny, and it's like, that's apples and oranges to me. These are two guys that you go, yeah, man, whatever you're doing is just fine. I mean, different beasts, and so musical and so beautiful. Yeah, so that was a huge influence. Both of those guys obviously are huge for me.
And still, I'm hoping to have Vinny on the show one of these days, and
that would be one that I would love to be in the room with. I'd love to hear that. He's more chatty now.
I see that. And,
yeah.
And I love his Breakfast with Vinny, this podcast he has. And man, there's times when I just devoured everything online of his. And
math and an amazing blessed skill in his hands. But this right here, that thing is working. I mean, he is gifted, man. Just a gifted. He was just here cutting on a last Tuesday, and literally the night before, one of the songwriters said, you should come. And I'm thinking, I can't wait. I would love to. And then I tried to get a hold of him, and he didn't call me back. So he probably was just saying it and then realized, I probably shouldn't do this. But I've never had a chance to watch him cut, but that would be something fun.
It was unbelievable, him doing a clinic in Toronto, probably 1991, and he was set sideways, so you could see the hi-hat side in, and it was just so incredible and inspiring and just jaw-dropping. And apparently he doesn't like to do clinics, and I'm glad he did them when he did, because
I saw one too, and but they get asked. This is literal, not making it up. I'll take some questions, and like people are going, what do you have for lunch? And he's like, a sandwich next, like whatever they bring me, whatever's available. And I'm thinking, why would you take this time to ask a question like that? And so he was very, I think, I don't know him, but he didn't like being videotaped either.
Right. Oh, right. I've heard that. The Baked Potato, right. He was not happy about that, apparently.
Not at all, yeah. But it seems like he's much more open and about it now, But again, I don't know the man. I just know him, like everybody else. It's Vinny.
Yeah.
It's just one word, man. It's Vinny. Yeah.
And that direct to disc recording he did back in the 80s. I think it was the 80s. And of course, I'm blanking on who the artist is, but it's crazy. Yeah, I can't remember it. When I do remember it,
I know what you're talking about too, and I don't remember either. Either.
Nevertheless, so what is gigging and grubbing?
Awesome. Gigging and grubbing was started with, I mentioned a friend that I met, became my roommate at the academy in Pasadena. Kenny Rudolph and I started this. Kenny's like super smart, right? And we just came up with this idea of, what do you like to do? Well, I like to talk to people. I like to interview people. What's possible? Food. What's popular? I mean, food, music, travel. So the idea was to get artists and film the artists playing their tunes. Just a couple songs is the idea for the 30-minute version of the show. Play a song and then intersperse that with, I come in and we meet and we talk a little bit and cut up. We don't get too involved in, hey, when you were 5, what did you, it's like, what do you like to eat? What's your favorite thing in the world? Well, I love barbecue. Okay, I got the best. We're in Nashville. We're in San Diego. I got the best restaurant in San Diego. They're set up. It's ready. We're going to go to lunch. And then we continue our conversation over their favorite food. So go in, maybe do a little cooking with the chef, order way too much food, kind of try the menu, and then talk about whatever they want to talk about, whether it's music or anything. And then we intersperse that with them playing, their songs. So they recorded a couple times with several cameras, and we just say goodbye to it. It's just live.
That's cool.
And then we do post, and then we made shows, and we really had the inclination. We're very close to landing it as a structured TV, 22 minutes with commercials, and we ended up getting to do about, Kenny would know, I don't even remember. We did about 70 micros, which are about 7 minutes long on average with each artist. And that was super fun. And then we did a Christmas special and about 7 or 8 actual 22-minute shows. And we had a small TV deal, and then that went away. And now we don't have one. So we have the idea, and we have the love for it. And it was just an amazing experience. We haven't done it. And wow, it's been about 2 years maybe.
Wow, what a great idea, great concept. That sounds like something you think people
Yeah.
would, if people are watching Jerry Seinfeld talking to people in cars with coffee, like why wouldn't,
Yeah.
like.
I know. I was a little astounded by how close and how high of level conversations we were having. And then the ultimate decisions were like, that doesn't add up to the meeting. That outcome doesn't feel like what this meeting was. And we poured our heart into it, and Kenny worked harder than me, and it's not dead. It's not dead. We have a love for it. So maybe now, maybe the time is a little different now.
Yeah. Things have changed a little bit, I find, of people's tastes and people. I think it's changed since 2020. I really think. I mean, there's so much crap on TV that I can't believe people actually watch. And
right,
we all know it. I just can't believe people don't say that. There's just so much mindless.
We just keep eating it. We keep absorbing what we have to do. Right, I'm watching things I don't like and finishing it. Binging it. Like, man, I don't like this at all. How many more episodes? 12. Okay.
Let's get this over with.
Yeah, hurry up.
It's Bill Myers. Bill Myers is the artist, and that Voyage record.
Oh yeah.
Voyager is it's from the Bill Myers record. It's and it was direct to disc, live all the way down, not just each song. It was all the way down, and oh man, It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. Let's kind of wrap things up here, man. This has been so much fun. What one or two valuable things that you have learned could you impart to someone that comes up to you and says, Doug, I want to be a musician. I want to do this. I want to play drums. I want to do the kinds of things that you do. What do you tell them? What kind of advice would you give them that maybe you weren't given or that you didn't know that would be helpful? Good hair.
There's that saying is in this town that if you're coming here, you're coming here to raise the stakes, raise the level of what you do, or you're coming from a different place. Or if you don't want to do that, you probably stay where you're at. It's a very transient town. You have to get your face in front of people. It's a hard thing for some. It's hard for me. Networking, that word, right? It strikes fear in the hearts of mortal men. But when you come and you get a gig, you play an hour. And if you're traveling, there's 23 other hours in that day. You have to get along. You have to have a good spirit. You have to be kind. You have to be understanding. And I use the word have. You get to be all those things. You get to be the best Neil, the best Doug that you could be. And you want people to want to be around you, because a lot of guys can play. I mean, let's just be honest. I could throw a stone and hit a player that would blow us away, right? Or blow our minds. Everybody expects you to be able to play the job or cut the song. Being humble and open I think it's the entire game. I mean, if you can't play, you're going to find out pretty soon, pretty quickly, and you'll be back home. People call who they want to be around.
That's great.
You know, I do. I mean, that's how I operate, if I'm in the position to do that. The other thing, again, how many times have we said this? Don't just listen to yourself. Get out of that mindset, man. Get out of that mindset before you get here. Listen to singers. Listen to other players that are talking to you. And then speak up. You know, just listen. Listen to music and be dynamic.
Man,
make music.
Gold.
Yeah.
This is wonderful.
Hey, I got something for you. I have 3 questions for you. I know it's supposed to be ask those all the questions, carbs are the enemy, and all that stuff. So if I was to come to your house and raid your snare drums, and you said, Doug, you're my guest. I want you to take any one that you want, and it's yours as a thank you for coming all the way to Toronto to visit me. Which one would you hate for me to take? Which one would you just get so pissed off if I took it?
A 1992 Gretsch USA Custom 6.5 by 14 USA Custom walnut finish. My mom bought me that. But it sounds.
So is it all sentimental, or does it just sound?
Oh no,
it's warm.
It's a great drum. I've had drummers guitar players say, I want that snare drum for whoever else I play with. Yeah, they dig that. Yeah, that would be the number one for sure.
All right, good. The next question is, we're still on the same trip. I've taken that 6.5 by 14 walnut snare, and now it's in my vehicle, and you're really mad. And then I say, hey, man, will you do me the honor of buying me the best pizza in town? Where would you take me?
Oh, man. I live in a relatively small town, and
do you like pizza, Neil?
I do, yeah.
I should have asked you this earlier on.
Oh, I love pizza. I just don't look like I. No, I love pizza. Are you kidding me? I guess it would be Papa John's. They make a good. It's a franchise. It's a good.
That's your favorite. Good. Got you, man. I got you. Yeah.
It's good.
All right, I got another one for you. I looked you up, man. I saw some of your stuff. So I don't want to get you into trouble, but do you like ABBA, or are you just in a ABBA tribute band because it's really cool?
I really like it, actually. I grew up in that era where I heard it. I was a little kid and heard Dancing Queen. I think I was 10 when it came out. We're only a couple of years apart. And man, my mom listened to ABBA, and so I heard it. And then I absolutely love it. Love all the songs. There's not one song that I go, man, I can't wait for this to be over. Like, my face hurts. I smile so much at this gig. Seriously.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What about you? Are you playing to any tracks? Are you running a Spitix or?
Yeah, we play to tracks and click. Yeah, there's
Awesome.
stuff because we're generally a 6-piece, sometimes more. But when we have more people, then they turn the tracks right down. But it's a click, and I love it. There's guesses as to
for that
where the tempo is, and they're synced to our videos too. So
right,
which is all cool. Yeah. So we do.
And my last question is: are you a baseball fan at all?
I do. I love baseball. Yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah.
We can be friends.
Good. I
think this friendship is going to nurture.
Let's talk about what team are you into?
Oh, well, I have to be a Detroit Tigers fan, so I cry a lot. I really get off on anything Pittsburgh. But right now, I was a huge Houston Astros fan before, and because Detroit's own Justin Verlander went to Houston and all of a sudden was dominating, and sometimes I wanted not to like it, but I couldn't help it. I'm fanatical about when he pitches, and Max Scherzer, who was with Washington at the time. Now he's with the Mets. Now I'm kind of interested in a couple teams, but the one I'll mention is finally the Angels. It seems like they're putting it together, and they've always had the best player of our generation, like Trout, but they have a lot of ingredients now, and I think that's going to be really, really interesting. And who else do I think is going to be incredibly viable this year is the New York Mets. I think they spent a lot of money, and I think they spent it pretty wisely. So we'll see. I don't believe the Tigers are going to be October baseball this year. Let me tell you that.
We've been disappointed a little bit here in Toronto. I remember 2015 was such a breakout year with having Edwin and Jose Bautista and Donaldson, that whole team. We got so excited watching that. My wife and I we love the Jays. Hopefully get to some games this summer, because man, nothing like watching baseball. We see Geddy Lee behind home plate.
I didn't think about that. Of course you do. Of course.
I saw him. I'm the closest I've ever been in my life to Geddy Lee right now, and probably the closest I will ever
be, right?
To Geddy Lee. And I literally got goosebumps. I got goosebumps now just thinking how
He's
near I was.
Junkie, man. He's a baseball junkie, and I love that. I love
that.
Makes me even more. I love that. Gosh.
That's fantastic.
Good stuff, man.
Nobody has ever asked me any questions, but man, that's really cool. And that's hilarious. You played an ABBA band.
Well, I looked at you, man. I looked at you, brother.
Thank you so much.
You ever get down our way here in Nashville?
I haven't been to Nashville in a long time. There's definitely plans to go through Nashville on the way to the factory, the Gretsch factory again. And when that happens, I'll know well in advance when that's going to go. We'd like to do a little mini doc for the show here and go to the factory and meet Fred and Dinah in person. And I've had one tour, a factory tour already from Paul a few years ago. And again, my face was hurting because of smiling the whole time. Paul must have thought I was some kind of weirdo.
I get it, man. I get it.
You know what I mean? That's such
He's
a great
special dude, man. He's a special builder.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. And Josh Safer, everybody there, man. It's a special place. So to answer your question, when I do, man, I'll definitely.
Will you please?
Yeah.
Will you get a hold of me and at least stop, and heck, man, I might even tag along with you. We'll make a venture out of it.
How cool would that be? How far of a drive is it for you?
It's a good ways, man. Ridgeline. God, I don't know, man. 8, 10.
Oh, okay. That long, eh? That long, eh?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I've never driven it, so.
No. Well, yeah, I have. I did a Florida gig, a New Year's gig, and then we drove, of course, because we did a few different gigs, and then drove back. I'm like, I'm going to see if I can go through. It was January 2nd, 2018, and Paul's like, we don't have much stuff here, but you're all welcome. Come on in and have a look. And
Come on,
I rang the bell.
around.
Yes. I go, this Paul Cooper. But can Paul come out and play?
He's a legend, man. I mean, he's a legend in our world, you know. Like, would we be talking about Gretch right now? How big of a hand does Paul Cooper have in this discussion? You know,
Very large, very large. He was the one that took maybe some of the ideas and made them a reality.
yeah.
Yeah. If there's any, I remember sending him a decade ago, sending him a USA Custom Tom that I had that just didn't sound great anymore, and I mailed it to him, and
Done it.
and he mailed it back to me. He goes, I recut the bearing gauge. He goes, and I get it. It's just the drum just sang.
Perfect, right?
Man. Yeah, beautiful.
I actually have a couple that I want to do that. That obviously he had built, but they've been through the ringer. I have some add-ons.
Yep.
A 13 actually that I think I'd like to send to him. I missed him. He wasn't there Wednesday, and I wasn't there Monday. He showed up Monday. But I'd like to send him a couple things, and yeah, he's just a great guy.
Yeah. They make great work, and I'm super grateful to Fred and Dinah, and incredible. Whenever I get a text from either of them, I'm like, to my wife, look who it is. It's right. It's crazy. I'm super grateful. So Thank you for spending almost 2 hours, man. I appreciate it. You're awesome. A lot of great
You're awesome. Thank you.
wisdom, and it was really, it was fun. You're funny, man. You make me laugh. It's crazy how much similarities we have with, with our musical likes and whatnot. You started a lot younger than I did, but it doesn't matter, man.
No, it doesn't. I told you, I took a lot of breaks, baseball, girls, and, drive-in movies with beers, so. Do you have a Jones for anything? Are you a bourbon drinker, no drinker? Are you anything?
I don't really drink very much. I don't, but I do like coffee. I got to tell you that.
Oh, dude, we are going to OD when we see each other. I've already OD'd. That's why I talk so much.
My Gretsch mug is in the house, which I can't go into because I'm staying away from them for another few days because they have COVID.
Gotcha.
So I'm good.
Right, you're separate. Hey, listen, my hat's off to you if I was wearing one. Thanks for putting hair product in. It's been a pleasure. How about a big hand to you, man? You're doing a wonderful job, and thank you for this. And do not forget to tell Ash Sloan that, I'm watching.
Doug Frasure. I know that guy.
No,
sorry,
no, absolutely. He will say, no, I don't. He's the kind of player that you go, I know what he's doing, but I can't.
You should see his sound check in Brooklyn. He posted a lovely thing, his sound check in Brooklyn.
I watched it.
Yeah.
Of course I did.
I'm going to sell my drums now.
Yeah, I'm just, he makes me mad. I'm thinking about that little snare drum, by the way. The purple, what's he called? Purple Heart or something?
The Purple Heart, yeah. Nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, do it. Okay, you do that. I'll get the bell brass.
Okay, man. Then we'll just trade when we need
to.
Go to Nashville. Thank you for your time, brother.
Everyone,
very much.
Thank you so much for tuning in. It was a real pleasure, and we will see you next time on the Gretch Afternoon Drum Break. See you later.
Look forward to it, buddy. Bye.